Hello and welcome to Cinemastrophe. I'm Don Perignon, saving you from getting ripped off. Yeah, I miss St. Patrick's Day, but it doesn't mean we can't still celebrate. And it seems the WWE isn't happy with me using footage on the show, so as punishment, they made another fucking Leprechaun movie. Released in 2014, the movie stars WWE superstar Darren Postal, who is known for playing the Leprechaun character Hornswoggle. Let's be real here. He was short, always wore green, they claimed he was from Ireland, and even went as far as to make him other wrestlers' Lucky Charm. They gave him the Leprechaun gimmick for no other reason than he was a dwarf, even though some people might have found it prejudice. Not that that's anything surprising. This is the same company that turned Kama the Supreme Fighter into a pimp.
Everybody, one more time, take a ride on the train!
And you thought I had balls.
All bets are off! All bets are off! All bets are off! What the fuck did you think? What the hell I was going to do? Every time I stand in front of you, so you thought of disrespect. How far can you take that bullshit? Now it's time to get this shit on! Oh, that's wrong! Oh, that's wrong! Oh, that's wrong! Oh, that's wrong! All bets are off!
So the movie starts out with two people running through the woods being chased by the leprechaun. Look, I'm not gonna pretend like I don't know what it is, okay? It's in the goddamn title. That'd be like pretending not knowing who the killer is in fucking Jaws. Well, at least we didn't get the tripped over the invisible man cliche. Considering how many times that happens, you'd think he'd be a walking mass of black and blue blotches. Why did she throw the bag? Was it too heavy? And why did she bring it in the first place? Everyone knows when you're running for your life, you travel light. Speaking of which, she might want to ditch old boy, because he's nothing but dead weight.
Francis, stop!
Clever girl.
Oh, fuck! I can't even take a nap in the grass.
There's so much more waiting for you to discover. Start planning your adventure today. Visit Ireland.com/golf now.
Cut to a group of tourists traveling in the back of a truck taking in the sights of Ireland, being dropped off at the outskirts of a village called, I have no idea, because they never actually bothered to give the village a name.
Village is down that road a stretch.
Village is down this road? Do you mind driving us another 15 minutes into the village?
No, I can't do that.
You know, when someone is willing to drive you to the outskirts but not the actual village itself, I'm pretty sure that's a clear indication of someplace you don't want to be. In fact, I think that's a good name for the village. We should call it the village of someplace you don't want to fucking be.
I like it!
As they're walking towards the village, they come across a large stone with ancient symbols on them. Again, this is a clear sign that things don't bode well for you up ahead. I'm not saying it has to be something mystical. They could be a village of cannibals. Point is, this is not a place you want to investigate.
There is logic in what he says.
Oh great, they've been spotted by the 8th dwarf, McTriggerfinger. He's the black sheep of the family and was cast out when Doc got tired of patching up bullet holes. Probably regretted that when the witch came a-knocking. They are there because the leader of the group, named Sophie, is a history major and is looking to write her thesis on the history of Ireland. I would assume that she wanted to do her research on a unique village that has never been looked at for its history before, but not only is this village in the tourist guide, but it's stated to have housed some of the oldest Celtic artifacts. In other words, you could have took your ass to a museum instead of going to a village that's so far from civilization there isn't even a road leading to it. They're in the village tavern when Sophie says she's not going to get her master's in history because her boyfriend here is going to Harvard and she's going to spend some time on the East Coast to be close to him. Yeah. Character development. This movie sucks at it. We don't know anything about these characters or their personalities other than one of them likes to joke around a lot. We don't even know the relationship between them all, including how long they've known each other. So this big bombshell of news means two things right now.
Jack and shit. And Jack left town.
A man named Amish overhears their conversation and tells them they should go see something called the Clock of Dinadea. It's a 7-hour walk from where they are, which they agree to see. He offers to set them up in a cabin for the night so they can go first thing in the morning.
It's a trap!
Amish's son picks them up, and on their way to the cabin, Amish tells the group about a cave that the village found full of gold that they turned into a mine.
My gold! My gold!
According to Amish, the mine collapsed and the village has been suffering ever since.
Well, there it is.
What a piece of junk!
They are unlocking the cabin when one of them hears something stalking around. Oh, son of a bitch! I just wanted a beer! Well, time to settle in for the night.
No, there's no power, but no problem. The miracle of modern technology, eh?
God, I'm so bored. The other movies might have been bad, but at least they weren't boring. It's been 20 minutes and... Speaking of which, isn't this about the time that Leprechaun shows up? Huh. Wonder where he is. Yes, lass. You're making the monster grow. Oh. What is it? Leprechaun movie. The hell with that? I got a pot of gold and needed to be spin, and clothes needing to be dropped. Alas, how would you like to really get lucky? I got a shilling with your name on it. Amish and his son exit the cabin, with Amish leaving a gold watch hanging on the porch. I guess it's time for them to die. I'm sorry. That was really bad. This shit is rubbing off on me. Blondie hears something outside and sees something running by the window. Why are they hiding the leprechaun for a big reveal later? The only reason anyone is watching this movie is to see the leprechaun, so you might as well show him as much as possible. Or just not show him at all. Either way, the result will be the same. Everyone involved will add this movie to the regret list right below eating shit. They try to leave, only to discover they've been locked in when the leprechaun rips Blondie's earring off her ear. Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm having a really hard time coming up with jokes for this thing. In the previous movies, they had something absurd or cheesy, or even something that was good and made sense, but you can make a joke out of. But here, everything is just boring. It's like looking at a blank canvas that someone tried to pass off as art. It just doesn't hold any interest. In light of this, I'm just going to insert random clips to break up my long, dreary description of this movie.
You're despicable.
Been waiting to use that one for a long time. The leprechaun chases them into one of the rooms, only to bust through the wall. They throw one of the beds on it. Really? It can bust through a wall, but it's slowed down by having a bed on top of it?
That's just stupid.
And escape through a passageway in the fireplace, which is the same way the leprechaun got in. So what would he have done if they decided to light a fire?
I don't know.
As they're escaping the cabin, Blondie's boyfriend is bit in the leg.
They locked us in there so that thing would kill us.
No shit, Sherlock. Next you'll be telling us you're not a real blonde. They make it to the house they passed earlier and find belongings to previous victims in the basement. They also find a book that explains what's going on.
How convenient.
This is what happens when you take its gold. You have to make amends.
They locked us in there to sacrifice us to a leprechaun.
Well, when you say it like that, it sounds really stupid. And is anyone else getting an Ian Ziering vibe from the Gimp?
How do we get out of here?
These stones are like a boundary, like an ancient warning sign or something.
Maybe the leprechaun will go past a certain distance from its cave.
If that's the case, why didn't the villagers just leave? They had to have had plenty of gold to do so.
The thing is,
Amish, his son, and this guy go to the cabin to clean up the bodies, only to find the group have escaped.
Jesus Christ. Where the hell are they?
They got out?
We clearly saw a group of tourists running from the leprechaun in the beginning of the movie, which means this has happened before. Shouldn't their reaction be, shite, that's a game? They go searching for them and probably wouldn't have been able to find them if the jackasses hadn't turned on the lights to the house they were hiding in.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
They locate the group in the basement, of course, but when they hear gunshots outside, Amish and his son go out to investigate, locking the group in. Well, he was useless. Amish's son never really wanted to go along with this in the first place, lets the group escape, and they try to make their way to the stone. They flag down a car driven by the barmaid they met earlier in the village bar, and of course she takes them back to Amish. Well, what the fuck did they think she was gonna do? They figured out that the village mined the leprechaun's cave full of gold, so obviously the whole village is in on it.
You're always this stupid? Did you take lessons?
I took lessons.
They drape them in gold and tie them each to a tree to lure the leprechaun in, and it's here we get our first real look at the leprechaun. Well, I can see why they kept it hidden up until now. It looks like shit. I'm not even sure what I'm looking at here with this dark, blurry vision they keep using, and I doubt it was done for artistry either. If an Oompa Loompa made love to a box troll that had an offspring, then a xenophobe busted out of the offspring's chest, and then said xenophobe jumped out a window into a vat of toxic waste, this would be the end result. Someone probably looked at the final result of this and said, yeah, show that shit as little as possible. After tearing the tongue ring out of the girl's mouth, the leprechaun snatches the chain from her boyfriend's neck, cutting his bonds and his stomach.
Get up, you son of a bitch! Mickey loves you.
He runs off, coming back with a machete from the writer's asshole, and frees the others before becoming leprechaun chow.
Finger looking good.
They head back to the cabin to set up a trap to kill the leprechaun. Sophie and her boyfriend use themselves as bait, while Blondie's job is to wait outside and lock the fireplace door once the leprechaun is inside. Yeah, things don't go according to plan.
It's coming!
They make their way back to the house, whose distance seems to have gotten shorter somehow.
Space is warped and time is bendable.
To use one of the trucks left there, only to find there are no keys in it.
Fuck!
Realizing that they have to get the keys off the dead guy, they come up with a plan that only gets them chased back into the house and her boyfriend killed.
Good job.
Having managed to escape the leprechaun, she runs into Amish, but is let go by Amish's son, who turns on him.
You can do that?
The leprechaun catches up with her, causing her to crash the truck. She continues on foot when she trips over the bag from the girl from the beginning of the movie, finding gold coins inside, because if she didn't, there would be nothing remotely related to a leprechaun in this movie except Ireland.
Fuck you, Lucky Charms.
Fuck it. Thus, the movie ends with this scene. I don't know what it means, and I really don't care. Why do I do this to myself? I can honestly say I have no idea who this movie is made for. No one watches Leprechaun movies to be scared. They watch them to get a laugh, whether it's because of the cheesiness of them, or the bad effects, or the extremely ridiculous premise. Maybe when the first one came out in theaters, people expected to be scared, but instead came out laughing because the idea of a leprechaun trying to kill you is so absurd, no one could possibly take it seriously. Not even the original studio that produced them took them seriously. That's why they became so campy after the first one. But here, because they tried to make it scary, you're stuck with an endless bore fest where you're just sitting there waiting for the movie or your life to end. Clearly, WWE Studios didn't get the Leprechaun audience, or else they would have stuck with works. And why the hell was Hornswoggle even in this thing? You barely saw him. They could have had a regular person play the part and you wouldn't have known the difference since they showed so little of him. No pun intended. As I stated earlier, someone with intelligence must have saw how shitty the Leprechaun looked in the final product and felt the humane thing to do was to leave as many scenes of him as they could get away with on the cutting room floor. What they should have done was bury every copy in the New Mexico desert. We dug up all those Atari 2600 cartridges, which means there's no vacancy in hell. I'm Don Perignon, saving you from getting ripped off.
It's coming! Here's one! Back to the first!